So Corfe Castle camping is along there, but literally a quarter of a mile, then up left. But this is what I'm going to go and investigate. Bucknowle Farm camping down that gravel track. It looks a lot more simple, my kind of sort of thing really. I'll go and see if I can get in there first. If not, we'll go back to the other one. The other evening when I was putting this route together, I went onto Google Maps to see what was around. I knew there was Corfe Castle camping because I'd stayed there. It's one of the first places I ever camped on a bicycle by myself. That was where the embarrassing incident happened, which I'll tell you about later. But I just wanted to see if it was open, so I, clicked the link and it took me to their website. And, I did a kind of a mock booking. And it was all how many people, what day, tent, caravan, hookup, etc. What size tent, 1 metre, 2 metres. I just put in the smallest possible, 1 metre, one person, one night. And it came up as £23, reduced from 35. And I thought, oh gosh, that's a little bit OTT really. This looks just like a nice simple field. Look at that. Cut the camper vans. I didn't want that. I just wanted somewhere where you just go and see the farmer and ask if you can camp and pay a bit less than 23 quid hopefully. That field looks quite nice. All I want is a shower and a tap. I've got everything else I need. Peace and quiet really. Oh, look, that farmhouse along here, I was going to ask. Just been up to the farmhouse, lovely lady. £10 for the night, bargain. Don't need any coins for the showers, and they're up in a wooden building as part of a farm outhouse behind the caravans. And she says it's going to be very quiet here. There's a couple of girls in a camper van, and there's another smaller camper van there. Just look at this. Fantastic. She said it's really peaceful here. That other one just looked a little bit too busy for me. As I said, I've stayed there before and I would have stayed there tonight. I just thought it's probably going to be more pricey. And this is really exactly the type of site I like. Tap, shower, peace. Right, let's get everything up. Still a good hour of sunshine left. Going to go and have a shower. Just hear the train going along there. That chuff, 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 chuff. You can see I've got my chair and table ready. Probably going to plonk myself outside here and have my meal in the sun. Then the opposite door, because it's side entrance, 2 side entrances, that'll be getting the sun in the morning. I've just been putting all my sleeping stuff in from the back door. Really, really desperate to go up and fill my water bottle up actually and have a long drink of squash actually. I'll start getting things charged. Go and have a shower, freshen up, and I'll talk to you, well, when I'm sat in that chair with my first beer. It's gone 6 now, sun's not set, but it's behind the trees and you're starting to notice the drop in temperature. I put a fleece on, still very pleasant. Starting to get my tea ready, so I'm cooking steak, chips and peas. I kind of figured out how to make chips in frying pan when I'm camping, sort of chips. So there's the steak I brought down from Bath. You can see all the blood starting to come through. Got my own seasoning. I won't use all of that, but that's the seasoning I make up at home. Got potato, peeler, and I've even got some ketchups there from Subway, I think. And my wife just got a handful of peas out the freezer this morning, so they've thawed over during the day. First thing I'm going to do is boil some water, peel the potato, chop it into about 4 bits, I expect. Just boil it for 4 or 5 minutes just to slightly soften it, and then I'll fry that in some oil. That's the oil in there in the frying pan. Kind of get that half chipped, and then when the pan's really hot I'll whack the steak in. So actually I think what I'm going to do is season the steak first and then get the water boiling. A little bit about the kit I've got for people who are interested. So I've got a cheap stick table there. I've got a, an FE Active chair that all folds up. I'm cooking on the MSR Whisper Light petrol stove just because I need a lot of heat to do the steak and the chips. really got back into cooking in with meths the last year or so. For the last couple of years, most camps I've been using meths, but I bought the MSR done, so that needs priming. I'll get the water on. They're just cheap Vango pans. I think I don't go all for titanium, anything like that. I just use cheap pots because they're just as good, and after about 2 years I chuck them away and get new. Apart from the frying pan, I've had this one ages and the handle broke off, and it's a bit like that Wilson in that Tom Hanks film I was gutted. I suddenly realised an old Trangia handle fits it perfectly, so I'm just loath to get rid of that. That frying pan's followed me around, well, all places I don't care to remember. Anyway, get some water on, prep the potato, get that boiling, then season the steak. Okay, got the potato cut into 4, it's about to come to boil. There's my steak. Gosh, it's massive. I had to cut it into about 3 pieces. Just going to sprinkle some of that seasoning on and then let that stand for about 10 minutes or so while I do the rest of the cooking. The steak smells absolutely wonderful. Well, it's now fess up time for the third embarrassment that I was going to tell you about on this trip. It was one of my very first cycle camps, possibly the first. It was Easter, I seem to remember. I worked at the gas board in those days, so I kind of had a long bank holiday weekend. Anyway, I think I got the train to Salisbury, then rode down to Corfe Castle, and I stayed at that campsite over the road. And I seem to remember I walked into the town, went to the pub, and met a couple from the campsite, to the best of my memory. And then we walked back to the campsite together. We all went down the toilet block, you know, together, and then just said good night and went back to our tents. And of course, the inevitable, I needed to get up in the night. So I kind of got up just in my pants because it was a very, very hot evening. And this was kind of the middle of the night by now, pitch black. And of course, the toilet block was lit up. So I walked down there, went to the loo, came out, everything was pitch black. There were no head torches in those days, or no tent lanterns, anything like that. And all of a sudden, what, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock in the morning, I'm just in my pants outside this toilet block, and it's just a black field. And I'm going around sort of like, you know, trying to touch on these tents, trying to work out which one was mine. I don't recall if I woke anyone up. I may have done, I can't remember, but I eventually got back to my tent more by luck than skill. And it was just such a schoolboy error to make, really. I cringe when I think about it. I mean, these days you would take down, you know, you would take a mag light or a head torch, but there just weren't those things available in those days. Or if there were, I hadn't really graduated that far. So, yeah. Whenever I come to Corfe Castle, I always think of that and just how stupid and embarrassing. Maybe it was the beer, maybe it's a lack of experience. I just don't know. Probably a combination of the two, really. But yeah, don't go to a bright light and then come out from the bright light and assume you're going to see a dark tent in a field, because you ain't. Hello campers, it's about 8:30 now on Friday morning. Just got up and had my breakfast there on my lovely little stick table. I bought some cereal down from... Apologies for the quality of that last clip. I showed it because I did say I would share my 3 embarrassing incidents. That last one, I did promise you I'd share it, so that's the reason I included it. A combination of constant Windows updates and just tampering with all the settings on my computer and making my editing suite almost impossible to use these days, hence why I haven't been doing many videos recently, and all the remaining files have just got corrupted on the computer, yet they play perfectly okay on my mobile phone. So here's what I've decided. The computer is getting almost impossible to edit the films on. It's like pushing water up a hill, so I'm going to transfer onto my mobile phone. The camera I'm filming this on now, the DJI Osmo Action 2, has got a corresponding app on my phone, and there is an editing suite in there, so I'm going to have to learn how to use it. And so I'm going to take a few weeks off YouTube and then hopefully come back later in the autumn or early winter with a new set of videos. It's just getting far too frustrating and nigh impossible to edit any more videos on the laptop. So I will possibly post a couple of videos in the coming weeks, just trying to use the app on the phone and work out how to stitch a couple of files together. So it may be like jump cuts, rough and ready, and I'll maybe try and just overlay a bit of dialogue or some music or some pictures on the screen. So the next couple of videos may be a little bit rough and ready around the edges, but it's just me trying to work out how to use the editing suite and how to get it onto YouTube. So sorry about cutting this trip short. At the camp there were a couple of really interesting, quite exciting incidents on the way back to the station the next day, which would have been great to share with you, but the clips are unusable on the computer, not on my phone. So anyway, if you got this far, thanks so much for watching, and once again apologies for the abrupt end of this film. See you in the next few weeks.